You don't get it.
Hmm?
It's not clocking to you, is it?
What what do you mean?
Valentina, is it not clocking to you that I'm standing on business?
Oh. Oh no.
Wait, oh no, what?
This is gonna ruin the tour.
What tour?
The world tour.
But do you think Hailey Bieber would find us funny?
Probably not, but she might think we're the perfect minimalist chic West Village core clean girls.
Let's circle back to that. Hi there, welcome to the Let's Circle Back podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Hebe.
And I'm Valentina.
So, in today's episode, we're plotting something different from usual. And as dutiful, chronically online Gen Zs, though no longer the case because we're now fully employed, we want to bring forth some of the best and worst marketing that we've seen in the first half of this year.
This is our take on the propaganda we are falling for or propaganda we are not falling for trend. Because what is marketing if not propaganda of a certain type?
And just your friendly reminder that this podcast is not corporate affiliated and all views are our own. But to circle back to our intro, I do think Justin Bieber was in every right of being angry. We need to start leaving celebrities alone. He was literally just on the sidewalk. Like, leave him alone.
Yeah, I really love the memes that have come out of this, but I think if you just take a step back and you stop laughing for a second and think about how this man has been followed around for so long and it's reached a point where he can't even go, what was it, to the beach in the middle of like the night without
Hmm.
getting photographed. I mean, I don't know if there's two sides to this story, but obviously I think we're both on Justin Bieber's side in this case,
Yeah, we're falling for the Justin Bieber propaganda.
and rightfully so.
Yeah, which is a great transition into our the first part of this podcast, which is what propagandas we fell for this year, what we liked.
It's a special edition episode to celebrate the first half of 2025 being done.
One that I've been really liking thus far, and I'm sure it's not new, but I feel like I do see it a lot more often this year compared to last year, is de-influencing. So we're actually seeing this counter movement to influencing, which is basically all social media has become. So, you know how TikTok is pushing TikTok Shop heavy, companies are trying to sell their products on TikTok Shop for no reason, and like how Instagram has their own shop tabs now. So the idea of de-influencing is for people on to come on the internet and start rationalizing why you don't need to tag on to every single TikTok trend. I think getting 10 Labubu is one, like trying to open all the boxes and collect all the colors, or needing like 5 reusable water bottles. So I think this is a positive start to overcoming our habits of overconsumption.
Yeah, something Hebe and I have been talking about since the beginning of this year is Project Pan. For those of you who are not familiar, this is kind of an online trend where people have been encouraging each other and also themselves to finish their products, aka hit pan, before purchasing new things. Hitting pan, for those who might also not know even more, is when you go through like a powder product typically, you start to see the metal come through behind the product when you use it enough. I think both Hebe and I have been participating in this to a certain extent. I don't know if I've bought anything new this year in terms of skincare and beauty that I didn't need. So I'm doing well on my Project Pan.
Yay, props to you. I think I'm in the same boat. I haven't bought anything unnecessary. If anything, I've been downsizing my skincare routine. So I'm stripping away anything excessive and just sticking with face wash, moisturize, and then sunscreen. And it's been working well.
Something that I've been really passionate about or just happy with lately is also making a wish list before I buy things. And I know this sounds so silly, but because everything is available at the click of literally like 3 buttons, especially if you save your credit card information somewhere, being able to write down what I want, how much it costs, and kind of let it marinate for a while has really been impactful in making me more mindful about my purchases.
Wait, that's so good. I think I also do something similar where if I want something, especially if it's a big purchase, I would let it marinate for 3 months. And if I still want it, without a doubt, I'll get it. And I think it's a good method we should all use instead of just buying it and then regretting it.
Okay, next piece of propaganda we are falling for continuously this year is gut health as a trend. you can see a lot more young people are finally waking up to the importance of getting sufficient fiber in their diet. I think also not to get too serious, but if you see those things online about how colon cancer is the most common or prevalent form of cancer in young people nowadays, that has to do with fiber intake as well. We've been seeing so much buzz around the words prebiotic, probiotic, and even postbiotic in consumable products, so food and beverage. I think kombucha was pretty big. I don't know when, but definitely before the current prebiotic beverage craze. And now Poppy and Olipop are, to me, clear leaders in this space.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I've been seeing there's a specific brand of gut health soda that I've been seeing, and it's Culture Pop. They're on the post or probiotic side. Because I know Olipop and Poppy are both prebiotic. So when I first saw Culture Pop, I'm like, what is this? What even is probiotic? And I think this year, especially, was a year where you have to learn about these terms because I didn't know anything about pre, post, or probiotic at all. And you have terms out here like microbiome. And I'm like, what the heck is this? So, agree. I think this is a good trend to have, especially to your point about the prevalence of colon cancer or just how young people are kind of sickly in general. But I also wonder if capitalism is behind this, just like how capitalism is behind protein. The way protein blew up prior to this gut health trend, I wonder if companies are also pushing for gut health, given how fiber is the new protein.
It becomes like a mass fad, and eventually there will be something else that's good.
But it's kind of like matcha. Matcha isn't part of this gut health trend, obviously, but it's something similar. I think people want to find healthier alternative to products that they currently use, and I think soda is a clear example. People like carbonated drinks, but realize how they are high calorie, not exactly good for your health. And so they look to alternatives like gut health soda to make them feel less guilty about drinking something they enjoy. Our next propaganda that we liked also deals with food and specifically celebrity and food collabs. We are both suckers for a good celebrity endorsed food pop up collab situation. Like, I went out of my way to Dunkin' for the first time. That was my first time having Dunkin', by the way,
Oh my god,
Valentina.
really?
Yeah. For the Sabrina X Duncan shaken espresso moment when she had her huge commercial success with espresso, I think was last summer. The collab didn't happen until end of 2024, going into 2025.
Yeah, because the day I went to try it, it was snowing, so it must have been what, like November?
And then over in California, because they don't exist in New York yet, Erewhon has been partnering with numerous celebrities.
It's these customized smoothie collaborations that are supposedly created by the celebrity partners and then served up inside Erewhon, which is this West Coast fabulous, super ultra rich person supermarket. Like they also recently went viral for the $19 strawberry. Yes, strawberry singular. And around the time that these smoothie collabs come out, there's so much promotional content on socials, really getting the hype up.
But do we think they're healthy washing or actually healthy? Because I feel like they are trying to put on this facade of being healthy, but
I think I get what you're saying. It's kind of like there's no way these smoothies are actually good for you. I'm sure the ingredients in the smoothie are high quality and have a lot of micronutrient benefits, but there's no way this is like a low calorie, skinny weight loss smoothie. It's definitely an indulgence.
okay, I'm looking at how you would customize a smoothie. Basically, you can customize a base, which could be milk or some sort of fruit juice, coconut water, or even coffee. Then you determine an espresso or matcha shot, and then essential fats, fruit, herbs, juice shots, probiotics, protein, superfood, sweetener, extra glaze, veggies. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
They're taking the health trend to the next level.
Yeah, that's a whole meal.
I guess that makes sense why they're 30 bucks. Perhaps you don't need a meal after you drink one. But I think they're doing really great branding wise, which is why they're landing a spot here.
Absolutely.
And then the next one, which I know is very dear to Valentina's heart, and also I really enjoyed because we actually did get this one, is the Suni Lee x Leon's Bagel collab. So for context, I believe she recently moved to NYC And last year, she went to Leon's Bagel with her sister during an outing. And then this year, for AAPI month, Leon's Bagel collabed with Suni Lee to create this magnificent, life-changing bagel that Valentina and I loved. Do you want to add on to more? Because I know how much you love it.
I cannot articulate my feelings about this bagel well enough, but it was literally like, I think, 8.75 total for the bagel, which you might consider overpriced. That's pretty cheap for a New York sandwich. So good, so refreshing. For those listening, just I want you to close your eyes and picture toasted sesame bagel, scallion cream cheese, not too much, just the perfect amount, some fresh cucumbers, and yuzu honey. It was literally the perfect bagel, especially because around the time they were doing this collab, it was really good spring weather. Delicious. And we fell so hard for the propaganda that both Hebe and I recreated it the same week that we had it because we were so impressed by the flavor profile.
Yeah. And I think just to wrap up this section, I think what's really good about the ones that we listed is high brand compatibility. Because oftentimes artists use these collabs to kind of boost their publicity or fame, recognition with the general public. But oftentimes I don't think it does a lot for the brand. Not to call out anyone, but I think BTS Army, don't come for me, but the BTS X McDonald's collab was one of those collabs that was a tad bit random compared to the ones we have on the list here, because it's just because BTS had a huge breakout that year and McDonald's is like, oh, they're such a huge artist, let's bring them on, make a BTS meal, and then called it a day.
The idea of authenticity and whether both parties are in for the same reason.
But that kind of wraps up the propaganda that we fell for. Just a few because we don't want this to drag on forever. And the next portion is what we did not fall for, or things we did not like.
Yeah, I think you can kick this one off.
So the first one on the list, which I have very passionate feelings about, is the glass skin skincare routines that has been just all over the internet since maybe last year, but I think it's been around for a while because of K-beauty. And essentially it's this idea that you need to have very vibrant, glowy, dewy skin, and people have been going for different products, different routines to achieve that look. The reason why I did not like it is because people are neglecting the fact that some people are just born with genetics that give them good skin. Sometimes it's not achievable by just skincare.
Genetics play a huge role, and then you also consider that these influencers make a living off of how they look. So they go the extra mile and have access to self-care and wellness resources that the average person, the average hormonal teenager who's seeing these videos probably doesn't have access to. They're going and getting facials and injectables and other types of treatments that can affect your skin a lot more than a toner or a mask does.
Exactly. And another reason why I don't like this propaganda, this glass skin propaganda, is that for people without those good genes or without good luck trying out these products, it then goes on to encourage excessive beauty routines. I don't know if you remember the time when people were shaving off their peach fuzz on their faces.
Dermaplaning.
Without professional equipment. They just do it at home. Or like people would also go out and buy literal biological chemicals like proteins and peptide serums and start mixing them like potions without doing proper research. And I've seen a couple of videos on TikTok of people getting chemical burns because of this misuse of products just so they could achieve like a glowy, seamless skin. And I just want to say it's kind of selling insecurity because textures and pores are normal. So don't fall for it, guys.
So many of these creators and influencers are using filters on top of makeup, on top of all of their base preparation. So it's just really unfortunate that we feel like we have to, like you said, sell insecurity to make a living, and we can't be more honest about it.
Maybe on the topic of cosmetics, because I feel like the next one is very true to cosmetics too, is rage baiting.
Oh, yeah. It's great that we are both aligned on our opinions for this, and also we are both aware that it's happening because rage baiting has become such a huge problem, and I'm going to call it that, I'm going to call it a problem online.
As it is.
In terms of cosmetics, the one that I noticed most so far this year, might have even started last year, I can't exactly pinpoint, was the brand Arencia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but they launched this product that they advertised as a mochi cleanser, and it looks really great in all of the advertising, but they would send influencers these huge product packaging that was just like the influencers would reach like their entire hands and arms into it and spread it on their forearms. And I don't know if there was like a creative brief for creating like the user generated content, but everyone would use so much on their face and their hands, and they would make little like dango out of it, to a point where it's like, why are you wasting so much product instead of highlighting the features that hopefully your product already has?
No, I feel you because my example is something similar also in cosmetics. Beauty industry, let's do better. Stop rage baiting.
For real.
It happened with this brand called Youthforia, but essentially they released a dark foundation that was essentially black face paint. Influencers noted how, regardless of what, because sometimes people mix darker shades with lighter shades to achieve the color they want, but when they do that, the pigment remained gray, which is an indication that the foundation just contains no other pigment but black. And this gained attention with a very prominent black makeup influencer, Gloria.
I love her.
I love her too. She clocks brands every day for lack of inclusivity, as she should. But I've been noticing this pattern where cosmetic brands would mess up, in this case, Youthforia, oftentimes by neglecting the need of darker skinned consumers. And then it gets picked up by makeup reviewers. And then they would come out with a statement and be like, oh, we're educating and fixing ourselves by coming out with new shades, accommodating for people of darker skin color. And then suddenly they're on the good side. And now they're gaining attention and publicity as before the scandal. And I think that's a very, I don't know how to articulate this, but almost like a marketing strategy that a lot of small beauty brands or even big ones are going for, just to increase, I guess, their recognition by the public, which I think is very unethical.
It also feels super inauthentic, because how is it that so many brands are still doing that and still needing to educate themselves? I feel like when Rihanna came out with Fenty Beauty and everyone saw that foundation range, that should have been it. There should have been no more of this, because if Rihanna can do it on like her first go, and I, please correct me if I'm wrong, I may be misremembering, but it did feel like her first release was like the standard at the time.
Mm-hmm.
If she can do it in her first or in her early go, why are you still failing or forgetting this in 2025? And if you're doing it intentionally, please find some better marketers, because you should not be needing to get yourself into the teeter-tottering edge of racial controversy to sell your product. It's offensive and weird.
Yeah. And it's not like this is new. When the beauty industry or the beauty community was still around on YouTube, it happens literally almost every single day. How do you work in the space but not know that this is happening for years?
Not to have this super sudden shift, but I feel like we're going from a more serious topic to kind of a silly propaganda we're not falling for, but we have to talk about Klarna, and we can make it mature and serious by talking about overconsumption. But just really quickly before we get into the mature side of it, why are people Klarna-ing their DoorDash orders? And yes, I have turned Klarna into a verb.
Exactly. And I think I recently saw the news that Klarna is now in debt. I don't know if it's after the fact that people start door dashing with Klarna, but they're now in debt. And I'm in my head, I'm like, is Klarna using Klarna to help them with installment payments on debt? But yeah, I think it's getting a little out of hand.
Feels like we've reached a point in our overconsumption as a society where people are buying things even when they can't afford to buy those things, just for the sake of buying it. There's no deeper reason other than I need to get this. You can kind of see it with like the rise of Temu and Shein, which, by the way, if you're listening to this and you shop on Temu or Shein, you need to stop. You need to stop, and I'm judging you. And if you ask me to my face, I will tell you I am judging you to your face. But I digress. You go on Temu to find something that is ridiculously cheap, and you buy it because it's cheap, but you might not actually need it.
We also want to make the distinction between like buying essential items in installments or on Shein and Temu because you genuinely do not have disposable income. But I feel like a large part is people just buying it because it's cheap. One example I overheard from like a close family member who knows someone who did this, but they bought like a foldable chair from Temu because it was like $1 or two that you could just open and sit anywhere you want. In my head, I'm like, you don't need that. You don't need to carry that around.
I like that you brought up this distinction because that is something that I think is inherent when we talk about these things. That's why I tried to make an emphasis on influencers who are spending all this money on cheap stuff when they definitely could afford all the nicer things.
Well, before we wrap up, we want to do a rapid fire moment where we talk about our favorites in music, books, anything on top of mind because we don't have enough to talk about for like a full episode, but we still want to share because we love oversharing. Do you want to start?
Okay, rapid fire favorites, music so far of the year. I have to say Tate McRae, So Close to What, Ariana Grande, Eternal Sunshine Deluxe. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Addison Rae's debut album was also really good.
For me, I think I'm a little let down by the music industry for the first half of 2025. I don't think there were any clear big hits, with an exception to Gaga. But favorite song of the moment is Scott and Zelda by BB. I think it's like a very video game-esque song, which I really appreciate. It's very summery. But I do have one for books. One of my favorite books this year is this memoir called Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. And she was the ex senior director or director of public policy over at Meta, and she wrote a very tea memoir of her experience working there. To anyone looking for a serious book to read, that is the one. It kind of changed my perspective on certain things.
I feel like I have a hard time picking my favorite book so far of the year, so I'll just say a few that I liked. I read the Mistborn trilogy. I read 1,600 pages in 3 weeks because I could not take my eyes off the page. I finished recently a book from Hebe's recommendation, actually, called Chain Gang All Stars. That one was serious, but really good. And I read Yellowface in February. That was a good one. It was a weird, almost trippy book to read, but that was a good one.
Yeah, R.F. Kuang is so good. I'm really excited for her new book that's coming out in August. What else? I think games. I've been into Zelda recently. Well, not recently, it's been a year, but I'm still trying to make progress in the game. Shoes, I recently got a pair of New Balance this year. Finally ditching my Converse because she's been through a lot. So I've been standing on business with my shoes.
Ooh. I got a pair of Brooks for running this year, and I have to say, sometimes it's okay to let your old clothes go because the previous pair of running shoes I was using were from 2017, and I used to get really bad knee and spine pain when I ran. And the second I got my new shoes, the pain went away. So sometimes it's okay to make a new purchase if you feel like you're giving yourself a hard time.
And lastly, maybe like a vocal stim slash me moment. It's so new, but it's from Love Island when Huda told Nick that she was a mom. And essentially what happened was she was like, Nick, I'm a mommy. And Nick went, Mamacita? And she's like, no, like a mom. And then he's like, mom of what? A dog? He did not want to believe that she had a kid. And I think it's so hilarious.
I think another one that we are both really into is What the Helly.
What the hellion?
That's us keeping up with the Gen Alphas. Also from Gnarly, because as you know, we have to bring Cat's Eye up in every episode. Making Beats comes up maybe once every 2 weeks.
Yes, yes. She's never getting old.
Okay, those are some of our rapid fire favorites of the year so far. I don't know if anyone's going to listen to the end, but if you guys want to share with us some of your favorite things so far of 2025, that would be great. We would love to see some engagement. And if not, that's chill too.
Yeah. Hope you have a great drive from or to home.
Shout out to the Hannahs out there. If your name is Hannah, I hope you feel called out.
Why?
We should call out a random name every episode.
We should. Steve, are you listening, Steve?
Okay, With that slightly chaotic conclusion, we are wrapping up this midpoint check in episode of Let's Circle Back. We really hope you enjoyed this sort of special edition format, and we'll be back to our regular programming with the next episode.
This is Hebe,
This was Valentina.
and we'll see you next time.